Hey, we are with Eliyahu Benzion Eliyahu Lehrer and talking about Shlomo Carlbach. You used to be very close to Rabbi Shlomo. I didn't know that. So
Yeah, thank God.
please tell us more about Shlomo. We want to know more about Shlomo. Tell us how did Shlomo make the new Nigunim?
Well, Shlomo, his whole thing was that he had total emunah in Hashem, and he was living in this vessel of emunah. And Rabbi David Aaron explains that emunah has the same root as an uman, right, which is a craftsman. That he takes a beautiful piece of silk and starts cutting. And say, "Wow, what are you doing? You're cutting it. You're ruining it." No, but the craftsman knows what he's making, what it's going to become. So too, Rabbi Shlomo Carlbach, he always knew that everything is coming to something really, really good. So he would create nigunim with that concept in his heart that everything is becoming good. So he was, coming into the good. So he would start out with like, and it all came out good. That's the whole thing. Everything he was doing was always brand new and good. And his nigun to the Rambam brings Gemara in Sanhedrin, Daf Tzadik Zayin. Everybody knows the verse, Ani Mamim, Be'emuna Shlema. Emuna Shlema was what Reb Shlomo had. Pure, total emuna. He always knew that everything was like perfect. And he'd ask you like, how you doing? He says, yeah, it's always great. It's always fantastic. There's never negative. So, Ani Mami Be'emuna Shlema, Bibias HaMashiach, right? V'afal pish bakea, even though he's taking his time, he's procrastinating, right? Im kol zeh afaker lo, right? Afal pish ismamea, right? Ismamea is also like chametz starts growing, right? So he's not just like doing it quickly, Mashiach. He's like taking his time, trying to get it right, trying to get the camera right, whatever you want to say. And what happened once was that on the way to from Safat to Jerusalem on one of his yard sites, this was like 3 years ago, my wife put on Shlomo's nigun, Ani Mami, right? And of course we know Shlomo's yard site is on the 16th of Cheshvan, which we'll talk about that date, how special that date is Kabbalistically, Tet Zayin Cheshvan. And it's basically the week as we're finishing Parshat Vayera and about to go into Chayasora and what that's all about. But in Vayera, we have the source on one side of Mashiach, which is Lot, right? Because root came from Lot, right? So I'm listening to this song, and my wife put on as we're driving, and all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, Mashiach comes from Lot. And by Lot, B'yetziat Sodom, when Lot is coming out of Sodom, right? The Torah says, he is with Mamei. I say it like that. Wow, that same word. The Chazal is saying that Iafal Pi, Shitz Mamea, even though he's like procrastinating, right? Well, taking his time. So I realized, how does Chazal know that Mashiach is that type of a person? Because Mashiach comes from Lot. So I'm going to sing that song of Rav Shlomo a little bit. And we have to have this total emunah. Because when it comes to Mashiach, and what's happening now with this virus, we need total emunah that God is doing this to bring ultimate redemption, like for the good, and it's like alternating on. We can actually see it, because now everyone has to like be at home, get in touch with their neshama, not running around doing all these chetzoni outside things. There's a lot of good things happening with this. Bibi Netanyahu decided to put on tefillin every day because he realized it's from Hashem. So we should see the emunah, the uman, that God is doing something kind of strange with this virus, but it's all coming out for the good, God willing. We should see it more and more. Ani mami, ani mami, be'emuna shleima, be'viat HaMashiach, be'viat HaMashiach, be'afal pi שיתממע מכל זה הפך אליו ואף על פי שיתממע מכל זה הפך אליו la la Yeah.
Shlomo didn't just believe in coming of Mashiach. He was saying that Mashiach, we need to bring him, not only wait for him, but we need to start doing things.
Well, when he would talk about Mashiach, he would roll up his eyes and say, how is he going to do it? Like how? Because he knew what it was about to be Mashiach. He was close to being Mashiach himself. So he said, how is he going to do it? But yeah, we have to do things. He would often say, one of the most common things he would say is, I love Avraham Jews, not a Noach Jew, who's like just doing his tzaddik thing, by himself. But he wants Jews to be like Avraham, going out and yes, trying to bring Mashiach. Yeah, the way to bring Mashiach is
like Avraham is going.
What's that?
Avraham is going to pick up Lot. Avraham is going to pick up Lot from Sodom.
Yeah, Avraham knew that the secrets of the Messiah are inside of Lot. That's for sure. So that means that we have to have both aspects in us, which is the Avraham aspect and the Lot aspect. So Avraham, he chose the Eretz Canaan, which is Lashon Kanua, meaning humble, bending. The Avraham in us is a part of ourselves that's going to grow deeper, grow more, grow more, grow more. And that means bending to the rabbis, growing in Torah. You become a nothing. Lech lecha, go to a deeper you, and you're going to see yourself later. To an Eretz Asher Echa, to a land I'm going to show you. You're going to see who you are. But in the meantime, you're just choosing Eretz Canaan, which is Lashon Kanua, Maknia, to bend to the rabbis, to bend to the Torah. Whereas Lot chose the Yarden. The Yarden is Yorad Nun, right? Where all the light is coming down to this world, meaning his consciousness was full with light. The Lot part of us is choosing our lot in life, what we already have, all the Bina we have, and he was drinking wine, his daughters, it's like super, super Bina. And our Torah tells us that the Yarden was like very lush, green and watered before the destruction of Mitzrayim, meaning your consciousness, when it's completely happening, and you're a happening guy, because Mashiach has got to be a really happening guy, full with Bina, full with light. But at the same time, the Avraham side is, again, you're going to grow again, and you're just growing, you're in yeshiva, you're nothing now, and you're just growing. But we need that Lot side. So Shlomo, again, I mentioned earlier that Shlomo didn't like the yeshivas cutting everyone's wings, making you into a nothing, and you got to grow and put on the black hat and the whole thing and be humble. Shlomo wanted people to be strong, to go out and spread their light to the world. Spread your light to the world. I have my own song about shining your light. It's kind of a pop song. I'll share it with you. Because Shlomo really encouraged us to be on stage, to be leaders. themselves. It's so much easier for you to be yourself. Come alive with your light, 'cause only you can shine bright your special light, your special light. Light, 'cause only you can shine bright. Come alive and shine bright. Your special light, oh, shine bright. So yeah, Shlomo encouraged us and each individual to shine their light. That's why people loved him so much. People felt that they existed when they were with Shlomo. And you know, the poor people in New York, when Shlomo left the world, they were like so sad. And someone asked a few of these poor people, like, what's going on? You're not going to get the money he was giving you, tzedakah. And they said, no, it's not about that. It's about that he would come outside and sit with us and talk with us. And he made us feel that we had presence. He opened up our light to see our light. He opened up that we knew that we were somebody, that we were worthwhile, we were something. He gave us life. And that's really what the true Jewish, Messiah is about. As I heard from Moshe Schloss, that Mashiach sounds like the word Meshicha, to pull out the Messiah in you, right? And that's because the real Mashiach, the Goel, G-O-A-L, right, is going to teach each one of us the goal, how to become connected to God completely. And everyone's got to be their own Mashiach. It's not about this one guy doing it. It's about this guy teaching everybody else how to do it. And there's a lot of teachers in the world today. But the Mashiach is the...
But Shlomo is saying,
yeah.
Shlomo is quoting Baal Shem Tov's Torah that says, in order to Mashiach, the big Mashiach to come, everybody needs to become a small Mashiach. Otherwise, the big Mashiach will not come.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Everybody's got to... But I think the big Mashiach is teaching everybody how to be that small Mashiach. And as a collective unit, the Jewish people, we have to realize that we are the light unto the worlds. And I have a song, Light Unto the Worlds, that basically reflects that the only way we can do it, right, is by loving ourselves in order to love everybody else, which is basically Ashlag, Kabbalah, that you're receiving from God in order to give. And love, Ahava, is Ahav, to give. Yes?
I want to ask you a question. What do you think about the redemption? How is it going to happen? Is it happening? Is it not happening? Why we, year after year after year, don't see any change, and now we are maybe in very extreme conditions? I think we screwed something up, otherwise it wouldn't be that bad. It's like, are we coming closer to the redemption, to the light, or are we going deeper into the darkness, or what's happening?
We're definitely...
Are we really, is this nation light to the world, or is we just it's just like another nation, like all the goyim?
Yeah, we're definitely not being a light unto the world like we should be. Not at all. Maybe.
So we screwed it.
So
somewhere.
I found, in myself, I work, in health and I teach diet, and our sages tell us that the secrets to the Messiah are in the book of Daniel, right? It's a Gemara in Megillah that Rabbi Yonasan ben Uziel, right? The Targum Yonasan, right? Yonasan ben Uziel, who's buried in Amuka, about its point this way, it's a little bit this way in Safat, right? The story goes like this in the Gemara, that Yonatan ben Uziel is translating the Tanakh, and as he gets to Kesuvim, the writings, a voice comes from beyond the heavens and says, who is revealing the secrets of heaven to mortal man? And Yonatan ben Uziel stands up and says, it's me, and I'm doing it l'shem shemayim. And the voice returns and says, Ad Khan, you're not going further than this. You're not going to translate Kesuvim. And the Gemara says, why was he prevented from translating Kesuvim? Because the secrets of the Mashiach are in Kesuvim. And if you look at Rashi, Rashi says specifically Sefer Daniel. So Sefer Daniel begins in the first chapter with Daniel asking the cook of the kings, right? The cook there, saying, give me and my men, my disciples, give us just Zeronim for 10 days. 10-day test. Because really that's all he really wanted to eat. But the cook said, look, I'm responsible that you guys come out looking really good, right? So you got to show me that this is going to really work for you. He says, okay, test us 10 days. And after the 10 days, Sefer Daniel, it says there that they looked incredible, beautiful flesh, and they had visions, they were like prophets, they're unbelievable. So the Eben Ezra explains that a Gadol B'Torah said, wow, miracle that they looked so good after just seeds, zeronim, and water, right, for 10 days. Miracle. You know, the Eben Ezra says, no miracle. They ate rice, brown rice, right, organic rice, Persian rice, and rice is matahir at the dam, right? It purifies your blood. So what's going on with this rice thing? So I am basically like an expert in what's called macrobiotics, right? And that's the closest to the rabbis or rabbis from the Torah, what they're telling us how to eat, that whole grain is our main sustenance. And we only bless mizonos on whole grains. Now, the idea of Mashiach is to bring that light all the way to our nefesh. Because we fell to this world, we fell from Or with an Aleph to Or with an Ayin. From Olam Atzilus with an Ayin, with an Aleph, right? As I learned from Rabbi David Aaron years ago, to Olam Asiyah, which is spelled with an Ayin. From Or with an Aleph to Or with an Ayin, to skin, right? And we have to transform this world back. So we're in this flesh body. We need to change our diets. This is like so important. And I put to my heart, the secrets of the Messiah are in the book of Daniel, and Daniel 1 in 10 days. Well, the person who brought macrobiotics from the east to the west, George Asawa, who taught Misio Kushi and taught Mir Abasero, who was one of the secretaries for Lubavitcher Rebbe, Michel Abasero. So this George Asawa said, if you're in bad shape, God forbid, right, do a 10-day rice fast, right? You gotta know how to cook it, chew well, right? And it was 10 days, wow. So what's 10 days? What 10 days? What? So there's a mysterious Ramah in the Shulchan Aruch when it comes to our festive Purim meal, Sudas Purim, right? The Ramah says there's a Yeshomrim, there's an opinion that we should eat Zeronim Zeichel Daniel, because Daniel and his disciples were also in Shushan at the time of Mordechai and Esther. Daniel was there too, so let's eat his diet. Well, the Sfor is very chalash, very weak. Because Daniel was there at the time of Esther and Mordechai, we got to eat like Daniel. So I put to my heart the secrets of the Messiah there. Wow, what's going on? And it's about Gemara Megillah, where the story comes. So this is all giving us hints. What is this about? So I realized, oh my gosh, 10 days from when we're supposed to eat like Daniel, which is Sudas Purim, and the Eben Ezra says it's rice, and the Mishnah Berurah brings that also Esther was very happy that there was rice, right? 10 days from Purim is Kaf Hei Adar. We just passed, right? A few days ago on Shabbos. Kaf Hei Adar is day one of Brias Olam, according to Rebbe Yehoshua. Those 10 days, we need to fix our Kli to be a Kli for the light that we gained while we went through Sefer Bereshis and Shemos, the new Yud and the new Hey for the year within each one of us. We need to fix our vessel. And eating brown rice, you're centered. See, basic macrobiotics and understanding is in the center is whole grains. Rice is the most centered, and it's the pH of our blood if you chew it, 7.4. Whole grains are in the middle, right? Far extreme right? Contractive foods is like meat, salt, eggs. For extreme expansive foods is like tropical juices, orange juice and sugars and coffee, and tomatoes are tropical and the potatoes are tropical, meat and potatoes, eggs and orange juice, right? Cheese is tight, cheese and tomato sauce, pizza. We are eating all.
How about even a
Yes.
How about even a suggestion? How should we, right now, we need to put more, somehow prepare, for food, more preparing food.
Yeah, we need to.
I'm asking myself, what should we eat? What should our children eat? We don't have such a clear instruction.
It's a lot of learning to really.
Some ideas, but it's good for a breakfast or lunch.
Well, it's a lot of learning to know what to eat, and it has to do with the changes throughout the Jewish year. I mean, like after Chag Shavuos, we're deep into the summertime. Parshat Bahalatcha talks about watermelons, right? We wanted watermelons. That's the time of year for breakfast would be like, some fruit, right? Like fit for life diet, But now, this time of year, it's about porridge, some type of whole grain, the Daniel diet, right? And animal foods come, occasionally. But the real reason we got permission to eat animals is, according to the Malbim, is because from Gan Eden until the flood, it was perfect weather, only one season, no permission to eat meat. But after the flood, we got the tilted axis. The earth tilted after the flood, right? Maybe the water weight, who knows what happened there. And that causes the changing seasons, the tilted axis. And the Malbim explains that's why we got permission to eat meat at the time of Noach, right? And you look in Parshat Noach, the verse which mentions the changing seasons, hot, cold, hot, will never stop, right? Right after that verse is permission to eat meat. So animal foods are needed certain times of year in a 4-season climate, right? In a temperate climate. Today, we're shipping tropical fruits and juices to cold climates. You can be in New York City freezing, and have a pineapple and pineapple juice and lemons and and melons and like there's no end to all the tropical fruits and juices, papayas and orange juice, and this is weakening weakens our immune system. Yes.
Let's say that there is a suddenly, like in a week from now, Chas v'Shalom, there's an absolute lockdown for let's say 1 or 2 weeks, and we are instructed we have to go and buy whatever we need and store it for, let's say, a few weeks. What do we go and buy? What would you go and buy?
Well, this is a very important subject when it comes to Shnat Shemitah, because Shnat Shemitah is about getting a bumper crop, which we can store for 2 years where we won't be able to have, crops, right? It's about getting whole grain. Whole grain is our mazon. You want sustenance. And that's what you want, because that's what stores without refrigeration is whole grains and beans, good quality water, right? And when it comes to fruits and vegetables, that's an occasional thing. You're good to have some good quality wine. Wine stores. Wine is like a pickle, unprocessed wine, real wine that's still growing, right? That's not pasteurized. And grains and beans like hummus and lentils. And this is the food of the Medina, all through Shas. The food that everyone ate was grains and beans, right? This is like, we have to learn how to cook it and how to eat it. And it changes your reality, becomes centered. Because 100,000 Jews in New York, basically 100,000, did a siyum a few months ago on Shas, right? But they're all eating this horrible diet of Cocoa Pops and chocolate milk and orange juice and eggs all the time and tons of sugar and mizonos, which isn't really mizonos, all these cakes and cookies and coffee and tons of dairy products, and they're all weird. Their energy's weird, all the, and so the black people in America who can smell, like, are you for real or not? Like, what's going on there? They're turned off, and the people are turned off, and the whole religious energy of like this nervousness and it's like it's a big turnoff. Like I have a hard time with it, really hard time with it, because I'm not in that box, thank God. But one of the main things Messiah is going to do is teach us how to eat, change our diet so we can receive the light, organ, right, to our organs. Organ and organi is light of Gan Eden, and we're going to learn how to eat whole grains and beans. And if you do buy vegetables, so like it depends what time of year, pumpkin stores, you can buy a big pumpkin, that'll stay, well. But yeah, you should stock up on porridges like cornmeal and solet, which is like a a cracked wheat, like a porridge, a wheat porridge, right? And organic brown rice, right? And good quality kemak if you're going to make bread, organic stone ground wheat and rye and all these, good grains. Now, people are yelling about grains today, especially wheat. Gluten, right? Well, gluten is really good stuff. God created the staff of life. Gluten glues on to the intestinal walls and pulls off fecal matter, right? I had a patient, she didn't eat gluten for like 12 years and she's got all these terrible skin problems. I mean, seriously, because intestines go out, that's a problem. So we need gluten. So what's wrong? Why are people having problems with gluten? Because gluten makes the intestines work. And people's intestines are so stopped up that you give it something that's going to work, it's like starting up an old jalopy car and they're going to get gluten intolerance symptoms, not because of the gluten, good quality organic wheat, right? Stone ground wheat, but because their intestines are so stopped up anyway, from years and years of wheat and sugar combinations, commonly called cakes and cookies. So anyway, I work in health. One of the main things is that we're going to learn how to eat healthy and take care of our health. And we remain 18 years old the rest of your life, right? Thank God I just turned, I don't know say how old I am, but I'm a lot older than 18. I'm 60, right? And you can remain total physique, total muscles and strength and clarity in your brain and everything forever, like Moshe Rabbeinu, right? Avram Avinu. If you're eating correctly, the world is totally freaked out with how they want to eat, and they're pushing, turmeric for aches and pains and who knows what. That just causes more pains. That just temporarily makes you feel good, right? Like taking a cup of coffee for a headache. I mean, there's a whole world to talk about this, but changing our diets is like super important. And then you're in touch with your neshama. You can love yourself, and then people will see us and they'll say, "Wow, kind of looks like King David. Kind of looks like Yosef Atzadik, Avram Avinu. These are the Jewish people. These are obviously them who God took out of Egypt." And then we can start caring about people, because the story about the black gang beat up some, got some guy's wallet, some Jew, in New York. It's a famous story. And the head of the gang, this big black guy, is like looking at the guy's wallet. I love blacks, by the way. He's looking at the guy's wallet and he looks, oh my gosh, he has a card. It says Rabbi Shlomo Carlbach. He looks at the guy and says, like my story, right? With the tax guy. He says, Shlomo Carlbach? And the guy says, yes, this is a card. He says, leave him alone. Gave him back all his money, because Shlomo Carlbach was good to the blacks. They loved him. He was so real. They can smell, if you're jiving, they can smell a man of God. And they loved Shlomo. But what happened today in our generation, after what happened, the riots in New Jersey, the anti-Semitic stuff going on in New Jersey, they interviewed a few blacks. And each black said the same thing. Said, hey, you see all these stores out here? They're owned by Jews. And they don't care about us. They don't pay attention to us. And they own all these buildings. They got all the money. And they don't help us. They don't talk to us. They don't even care about us. They just do their own thing. That's terrible. We are supposed to be a light to the world and care about the world and care about blacks. Like we see Betzalel, your name, built the Mishkan together with Olihav, who was black from the tribe of Dan, right? So what's going on there? We're supposed to work together with our black brothers, Ramesh and Martin. Martin means in Hebrew, Martain, like tain means give, more, bitterness. Martin Luther King was a great man, loved the Jewish people, a great man, but who knows, the other side working through something like that, because he said, I've got a dream. Yeah, you can be a man. You can be a man. You can be a businessman. You can be a doctor. You can be a lawyer. You can be and the connotation is really negative. He didn't mean it that way, of course. Luther, right? Martin Luther, right? What's going on here? That means in order to be a man, you're not a man unless you're a doctor or a businessman or a lawyer. You can be a man. You can be a doctor. No, but it's not true. You're a man if you're just playing, coming close to God all day and singing, right? That's a man, right? Sitting in the sun all day, and making beautiful vessels and stuff, and just, well, you don't have to be a doctor, lawyer, businessman. So we have to teach the world that everyone has a beautiful neshama, and everyone is beautiful. And the only way to do that is get in touch with your neshama first. So let's play this song kind of quickly. Do we get it? Let's go right into it, which is, we are the Jewish people to be a light unto the world. Nachnu ha-Yehudim or la'amim. We are the Jewish people, yeah, a light unto the Moshiach now. We're inside of you and me. La 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 la. Let's get it together, bring Moshiach now. Inside of you and me. Nachnu hayudim yeah, orlamim. We are the Jewish people, yeah, a light unto the world. Let's get it together, love your brother, get it together. Love your sister, get it together. Love your brother, get it together. Love your sister, get it together. Get it together, yeah. Get it together now. How are we going to do it? It starts like this. You've got to love yourself before you can love anyone else. Woo! We love Jewish people to be a light unto the world. Nachnu hayudim yeah, orlamim. We love Jewish people, yeah, a light unto the world. Let's get it together, bring Moshiach now. Right, so
Nice.
thank you. It's
These
about
are your songs, right?
yeah, it's one of my songs. Yeah, thank God. About loving ourselves in order to love everybody else. And the idea that we're a light to the world is a actual spiritual, physical reality of how the Jewish year works. Because we, throughout the Jewish year, we're building the menorah. And the first segment of the menorah is the lehava, the flame, the light. And that light comes in to the world. And the non-Jewish world says, New Year. Yair means to shine light. And New Year's comes after Hanukkah, after the new light is in. The new light is within each one of us. If we've been growing in Torah and davening and doing the work we have to do, the first 3 months of the Jewish year, you build a new Yosef within you, a new light. And Yosef is the lehava, Rashi tells us, right? The light of the menorah, which is the intellect. Now the menorah comes down, and in the menorah that we have before where the Chazan davens, right? We see menorahs has Psalm 67, right? Lamenetzeh binos mizmor shir. The beginning is Yair panav itanusela, Yair, right? The light. And the bottom of it is Eretz nasna yivula. The land is now given its produce. The bottom of the menorah is when we get after Chag HaShavuos, which is the Katsir Chitim, the wheat harvest. The land is giving the produce. If you eat organic, that's when all the fruits are coming in, the peaches, right? And the plums and all that, right? And the wheat harvest is in, right? That's the bottom of the menorah. We finish the menorah, and lo and behold, if you count the Parshiot, Bereshis 1, Noach 2, Lech Lecha 3, right? The 36th Parsha, because there's 36 lights of the menorah, right? Of Hanukkah, the 36, Lamed Vav, is Bahalatcha. Bahalascha, the Parsha we read after Shavuos, when all the light is in, there's new King David within us, right? Lights all the way reaching to the world, is the 36th Parsha of the Torah. That's the Parsha we read right after Chag Shavuos. So we got to know, what I teach is that Ezra set up that we read the 5 books of Moses in a 1-year cycle, and we see amazing, non-coincidental things within this 1-year cycle. Like right now, we finished the working of the Mishkan, and it's Rosh Chodesh Nisan tomorrow night, and on Rosh Chodesh Nisan is the date that the Mishkan began to function, which is the new you, right? So redemption means teaching every Jew that they are creating a new Mishkan within them every year, a new neshama. Haneshama, haneshamot hapikudot lach. It's pikuda, like Parsha Pikuda, but it's a deposit. That's why Mishkan is the letters mashkon, which also means a deposit, right? A deposit, meaning God gives us a new neshama every year, and it's not ours, it's God's. He just kind of like lending it to us because it's God's light. Neshama is God's light. That's why we don't want to take on and put on the me'il. Like why me'ilah, using kadosh for your own self, is like me'il, putting on the clothing of God. It's God's light. And the Jewish people have a lot of work to do, because on one end, if we get that light, right, we're learning Torah and we're eating correctly and we're getting that light. On one end, there's the possibility of chametz, because when a Jew is learning Torah, he just gets more and more of God's light, and you can be, God forbid, have chametz. And who's going to get chametz? Just like the letters are, moach of the tzaddik. The tzaddik is the one who can have chametz. People who don't learn Torah, they don't got chametz, and they don't have any light. But the Jews who are learning a lot of Torah have a lot of light. Yeah.
Benzion, you were saying about the virus called COVID-19.
Yeah.
At what point it sounds to you like give more honor to Yom Tov because Chabad would write Yud Tes as the Yom Tov acronyms or something.
Yes, exactly. Rosh Hashanah.
But you know what you were saying before, that Yud Tes is also Gematria Goy.
Oh, it's Gematria Goy.
Also, you were saying we should honor more the Goy. As you were saying before.
Well, they're the image of God, but you could say Goy in the sense that on Yom Tov...
No, we should give more honor to the Goyim.
Well,
not neglect them, as I said. The black people will say in the neighborhood, these Jews don't care about it.
Yeah, we need to honor Mamish, honor the non-Jews in a deep way, but you can't honor someone
I think that
unless you honor yourself. You know, like... It has to start with us honoring ourselves, and then we can give honor to the non-Jews. Now, the honor of the non-Jews in the connection to Yom Tov, right, is that in Yom Tov, we go deep into this physical world, right? And when it comes to Chag Sukkot, we're doing sacrifices for the non-Jewish world, for the 70 nations, through all of Chag Sukkot. And the reason for this is...
That's happening on Chag Sukkot. But on Chag Pesach, we don't do it.
Chag Pesach, we don't do it. Because Chag Pesach is beyond this world. It's really like specifically for the Jewish people. Pesach. God took us out of Mitzrayim. And Chag Pesach is basically Atzat Hashem Hitakum. Is basically the truth reaches the world that we're all matzah. We're all nothings, right? We're all really nothings, and we're going to slowly count. Seder night, if you have a round matzah, is 0. Like a round matzah is 0. And then the next night, we're counting the omer. Number 1, 2, 3. Once we get to Hod, we got to burn that wood, right? You know, lag ba'omer, logs, right? Log in English came from lag ba'omer, to remember burning chametz, right? Because once that Hod comes in, so the way that we're helping the Goyim on Pesach time is by stepping out of the way, right? Meaning letting God's light come in, and the world is awesome, and we have to realize that we're nothing. It's not because of us that the world is awesome. Whereas when it comes to Sukkot, it's different. We're building, we're doing, we're expressing ourselves, we're building a sukkah, we're shaking our lulav, we're doing, right? We have to do, right? And the whole thing about Sukkot is that all this physical world that we're coming into in Chag Sukkot, right? We're saying Hoshana na, because our soul is falling to this world. We have an obligation to do all this work till Chag Pesach, which is elevating the world. And once you get to Pesach, it's like, the work is basically done. Yom Rishon, meaning Chodesh HaRishon, is like Sunday, and you're just like laid back, right? Whereas Chodesh Shvi'i, where we have Rosh Hashanah, we have Chag Sukkot, is like Shabbat. Okay? And that's like, Shabbat is a springboard for the rest of the week, right? Once we get down to Chag Pesach, it's not about us anymore. It's about just the light of God. So I know it's a little bit complicated to understand that, but...
All right. We are about 1 hour. Can you give us a closing thought for Pesach, to prepare ourselves for Pesach a little bit? And the last song of this interview.
Okay, for Pesach.
Please sing us a Shlomo song.
Do a Shlomo song.
This time Shlomo song.
Okay, so you got to know that Hebrew, as a holy language, teaches us that kedem, getting back, is the same word as